Series late models, but all of its top teams have been to Missouri, Ohio, and back again in the hunt for another challenge. Now, their collective energy and determination comes to West Jenkins Crossville Raceway, Tennessee, a fast 3/8 mile test of willpower. And you're about to experience the heat of Hav-A-Tampa summertime competition. It's the resumption of Hav-A-Tampa Series late model racing at Crossville Raceway, Tennessee. They've been off for 2 weeks. They're hot under their collar and ready to get back into action. 24 cars have fought their way to this race tonight, battling through a big field of 51 cars, all going for the gold right here in Tennessee. Hello, race fans. I'm Trace Ali. Mark McCarter's off getting married, but joining me on the team tonight will be Chris Larson from Atlanta. Chris, could be quite a race.
Oh, I'm expecting nothing but a great race here tonight, Trace. I've been away from the dirt track racing for a little while, and I'll tell you, the Hav-A-Tampa guys put on a great show, and this is a great speedway to come back to, the Crossville Raceway here. It's a tight third-mile oval, but these guys are finding their way around. We saw some great racing last night. The speeds are going to be phenomenal. Some of the drivers are already talking about too wide through these turns.
Pole sitter Freddie Smith with a 12.554 lap last night proved that you could get around this racetrack in a very fast way. And of course, he'll be sitting on the pole with all the big names right next to him. Bill Fry on the outside, Scott Bloomquist and others. We had a chance to talk with all of them just a few minutes ago. Scott Bloomquist, points leader for 1995's Hav-A-Tampa Race Series, has got a couple of big wins already in his pocket this year, and now he's looking since Lakeview to come back up here and restart with the Hav-A-Tampa Series and get back to another one. Scott, you'll start on the second row inside tonight. Is that close to where you figured you'd end up, or did this track give you a little problem last night?
You know, I tell you, we thought when we got here, the track was pretty hooked up, and we were running really quick. We were running like 12:30s, and the pole was a 12:50, so we thought we were in pretty good shape, but the racetrack got really rough late, and we went in and bottomed out, you know, and we really should have stiffened up a little more, I guess, and stiffened the shocks and springs up a little bit for how rough the racetrack was. And we got the car a little better in the heat race and won it, so we'll be starting third, and hopefully that'll be good enough.
Rick Auckland starting on the outside of the second row in tonight's race. Rick, you've got some pretty big company in front of you. How do you approach those guys?
Well, there's good cars in front of us and behind us both, and we're going to try and make a good run up the middle of the racetrack. The bottom will probably be a little quicker for a while, and as it slows down, as moisture leaves it, I think the middle will come back some later in the race.
Some of these guys were talking about a slight ridge somewhere in the middle. Is that something, do you straddle that ridge, or do you have to stay underneath it?
No, you try and put your right rear just below it or right on the edge of it. If you get above it too much, the track will flatten out, and that'll take you up the racetrack farther than you want to go.
Freddie Smith has found himself on all types of racetracks this year as he runs the Hav-A-Tampa Series and other events. And Freddie, this particular racetrack, based on what we saw you do last night, looks like it's coming to you.
Well, you don't never know. As rough as it was last night, you know, we was trying to knock some of the holes out there. I think it got a little rougher there on everybody in the heat races.
Well, I was going to ask you that. It seemed like your setup was made to go through even the worst track, because you did literally go through the worst part of turn 4 and make it look like it was easy.
Well, you know, we chose a little bit harder shock to go with, and, you know, for the holes and stuff. And you got to have a little bit tougher shock there for the holes, and it won't really make the car bounce around too much.
As strong as the car is performing, I'm going to assume that you'll probably try to take the lead real fast and try to hold everybody behind you for the rest of the race. In the event that someone, say, could pass in the early part of the race, what part of the race would you then, say, step it up to try to pass them? Is there a moment you do that, or you just decide to get back around as soon as you can?
Well, you know, last night, high side run pretty good there, a couple laps there last night on a few cars. And, you know, we're going to try to run the bottom like we did up Cleveland. So, you know, we're going to try to get set up for that on the bottom and maybe stay out of the holes and, you know, have a good run.
Bill Fry, for the third time this year in a Hav-A-Tampa race, going to be starting from the front row. And you took your heat race last night. Looks like you figured out the combination to this little Crossville Raceway.
Well, I don't know whether we found the combination or not. The car felt real good in the heat race. We got a good lap timing in, so I'm confident about tonight so far.
Starting to hear a lot of things about possibly a second groove coming in tonight. How do you feel about that?
I feel there will be. Last night it was fairly, I'd say it was a two-groove track last night, so I don't feel there'll be any problem racing tonight.
Each of those drivers, very impressive. They've won all over the country, and they've won in the Hav-A-Tampa series. Of course, Scott Bloomquist won the most, but they've all got a game plan that we really won't see and hear the true meaning of it until we actually get into the race. And when we get back, we'll take a look at some of the heat racing action from last night. See a 100-lap feature with the Hav-A-Tampa race series and some really exciting racing. But we saw a lot of racing last night that was pretty exciting, too, in the heat races.
Very exciting, and it's only going to get more exciting tonight. But let's take a look at some of the heat action from last night.
The first heat race, of course, saw pole sitter Freddie Smith from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, set the pace as they gunned out of the starting line with Ronnie Johnson from Chattanooga quickly on the high side in turn 2, and inside them, Marshall Green tried to make a quick pass on Ronnie, but was unable to do so. Freddie quickly began to display the type of action and set up his car was to show most of the weekend. Out of Crossville, Tennessee, the 44 and 22 cars you were just watching, that of Dave Bilbrey and Randy Weaver, were both out of Crossville and racing with the big guns for this particular heat race and looking pretty good at the beginning. Of course, Freddie would surprise us all with even more action later, but in this particular heat race, he looked very smooth and didn't really show us all that he had, but would show us later after he won Heat 1. In the second heat, it looked like another restart similar to the last one, except this time on the outside pole, the 52 car of Scott Sexton quickly climbed to the outside and ahead of Bill Fry of Greenbrier, Arkansas. Fry, along with many of Hav-A-Tampa's best, had already seen a lot of action the previous weekend at the Dream in Eldora. Now they were here in Crossville to try to show everyone that they are the car still to beat. On the restart, Fry this time takes the lead as Scott Sexton has Stan Massey fall in behind him and immediately tries to fight off Stan, worried more about him, unfortunately, than he should have, and lost a little bit of traction. Stan shot to the inside and grabs the second spot, coming up behind Bill Fry. Now it's a bit of a foot race for the next 10 or 15 laps, but Mark Miner keeps things interesting as he comes shooting up from the back and tries to make a pass on 2 or 3 cars at once, although sliding back just a little, picking up the motion and deciding when he's going to make the next shot between 2 cars. Miner is always exciting to watch in any race, and he was no different in this particular heat race. As J44's car, driven by Jake Lowry, continues to try to eke his way towards the top and into the final feature, he gets the taste of the Mark Miner treatment as Mark goes to the outside and, of course, begins to bother and worry him greatly as he tries to find a groove and stay after the leaders. Mark's always exciting, and he stays right inside, and this time he'll pull just inside Jake Lowry. They'll have a foot race down the back straightaway, and Mark will again threaten to go past him, and then will pull it off as they enter into turn 4. It was a quick heat race. Again, merely 20 laps for each of these cars to have a shot at being one of the 18 to get into the feature for the upcoming race that we're going to see tonight. Mark Miner has been scrapping all season long, having some good and bad days, but seems to be coming more and more towards the front with every single race as the Hav-A-Tampa season wears on. And of course, in the final count, it was Bill Fry winning Heat 2, followed by Stan Massey and Scott Sexton into the final feature. In Heat 3, car number 70 on the pole, Jeff Smith, last year's Rookie of the Year for the Hav-A-Tampa series, drew the incredible assignment of trying to hold back Scott Bloomquist in the number 18 car on the outside of the pole through 20 laps of hard, fast racing. As the track begins to set up, it becomes very apparent that Scott Bloomquist has prepared himself for exactly this moment on the racetrack. No one has dominated the series more in recent history except for maybe Steve Kinzer in the World of Outlaws, where he has returned. But Scott Bloomquist is definitely the guy everybody has to outrun. The rookie season of G2's David Gibson has continued to flourish as he has now become the #1 rookie in the season. Up front, of course, is the battle rage. Scott finally puts the pressure, enough so, on Jeff Smith's 70 car that he can get inside him and makes that final push around him, and he'll continue on down the back straightaway, now accelerating freely and smoothly on the setup that Barry Wright and the entire crew have provided Scott. Behind them, #1 Clint Smith is running second in points, although running third in this particular race. But in this shorter race, there are not enough laps for anyone to catch up with Scott Bloomquist as he becomes the winner of Heat number 3, followed by Jeff Smith in the 70 car and Clint Smith in the 3rd car, all moving to the feature for tonight's race. In heat race number 4, Fargo, North Dakota's Rick Auckland in the number 12 car, the Curtis Equipment car, dashes to the front, quickly putting some motion on an early run by number 45, Lamar Lowry from Georgetown, Tennessee, who slips a little to the outside and quickly spins out in turn 3. Unfortunately, he doesn't seem to have the setup, and unfortunately, that's not good when you only have 20 laps to get yourself qualified. On the restart, again, Auckland shoots to the front, but this time Lowry gets into one car and then quickly slams almost into Rex Ritchie as they get caught up on the turn 2 wall. Another restart, still with 20 laps to go in this heat race, finds Auckland getting a little more pressure this time from Rex Ritchie in the 201 car, followed by a 3-wide race down the back straightaway with Lamar Lowry in the 45 car, John Jones to the outside in J1, and Randy Runyon in the number 55 car, all of them keeping it interesting, although Rick Auckland is moving right ahead with Rex Ritchie running in second. Not really all that concerned about the battle behind them because so far smooth sailing and lots of ground that they can cover very quickly. Herman Goddard, as you saw, almost got into it there. The 22 car split a pair of cars as he zoomed ahead, trying to make himself possibly jump up just far enough to get into the top 3 to finish. But it was Rick Auckland, Rex Ritchie, and the following car of Lamar Lowry that would find themselves heading home and picking up the win in heat race number 4, of course, Rick Auckland. Continuing with heat race number 5, on the inside pole, it was CV3 Clay Kelly trying to hold off Chattanooga's Dale McDowell in the 17 car. Nice look in the turns there as they quickly get into it and battle with one another, sliding through the turns very quickly and very controlled in that turn 4 situation, which we had described earlier as being very rough on the cars that night. The 51 car of Frank Thompson managed to hold off a pair of other cars charging to try to take away his 3rd place. But of course, Dale McDowell would stay in front, win heat number 5, and carry with him Clay Kelly and CV3 and Frank Thompson as they all move forward into tonight's feature race. The final race of the night on the heat races, heat race number 6, saw Rudy Boutwell quickly outdistanced and outpaced by Gar Dixon in the 60 car going to the outside, with Jack Boggs from Grayson, Kentucky also pulling the same move down the back straightaway as he and Gar fight to turn 4 and down the front straightaway. Patrick Dugan in car number 15 has a 2 or 3 car lead over number 14, Rudy Boutwell, with plenty of pressure from the 24 car, Barry Goodwin. And next to him, the 54 car of Mike Head is now also pushing ahead and trying to move into that 3rd position, so he too can move himself up tonight into the feature and get himself close to the big money, the $10,000 to win that we're going to see everyone race for tonight. Jack Boggs, with a little assistance, does a 360 spin on the back straightaway, and after review by the Hav-A-Tampa officials, finds himself on the front with a restart, now followed by Patrick Dugan in the 15 car and the 14 car of Rudy Boutwell. Again, the battle pursues as the 54 car, Mike Head, it gets into it and begins to exert his speed and try to pressure just a little bit on Rudy Boutwell there in turn 4. Although he slows down, he accelerates smoothly on the front straightaway, gets back into the turn, and continues ahead of the rest of the pack. Unfortunately, behind him, the C28 car, a brand new car for Kenny Merchant, also running second in rookie points so far this season, begins to show a little bit of uneasiness and a little lack of control. The problem for Kenny, it turns out, he had a bad steering problem, which would definitely affect how his fortunes would go in the remainder of this heat race. Ahead of them, though, it was cool running for Jack Boggs, but Rudy Boutwell in the 14 car was trying to make a quick effort pay off by outrunning 54 Mike Head at this point, trying to catch up with Patrick Dugan, who was running second in the 15 car. So working the outside groove, Mike Head suddenly finds himself on the back straightaway, zooming ahead into second, moving ahead of Patrick Dugan, now pursuing Jack Boggs ahead of him, still leading the race at this point. But behind them, we have a crash as Kenny Merchant gets caught up in a melee that was a result of that steering problem we talked about earlier. After technical director Jim Harrop pulled the metal back from Kenny's car, there was a restart, and again Jack Boggs flew to the front, Patrick Dugan in second, Mike Head flying to the outside, trying to find his way around, and again Kenny Merchant in the C28 car gets another piece of his car torn up on the left side. Another restart, this time the number 15 car, Patrick Dugan, is fighting off the advances of Mike Head. Behind him, but smooth and quick ahead of them, is Black Jack Boggs winning heat number 6.
As you can see from those heat race features last night, the action was hot and heavy. It's only going to get more so tonight. 100 laps, flat out, no holding back.
In fact, there's not a single driver out there that doesn't want to win this race, of course, and we know for a fact that every one of them will be trying. We'll be back with more with the race in a few moments. Stay with us right here as we continue with the Hav-A-Tampa Race Series at Crossville Raceway, Tennessee. 100-lap feature at Crossville Raceway, Tennessee. As we get underway, you're watching Freddie Smith lead the pack as they get ready to line up. Freddie, of course, on the pole from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the 00 car. Next to him, number 66, Bill Fry from Greenbrier, Arkansas. Right behind them, the monster man himself, Scott Bloomquist from Mooresburg, Tennessee, inside row 2 in the 18 car. In the number 12 car, starting 4th, Rick Auckland from Fargo, North Dakota.
In the 5th starting position, inside of row number 3, Dale McDowell from Chattanooga, Tennessee, in the car number 17. Beside him in the B4 from Grayson, Kentucky, is Jack Boggs. In row 4, we've got Ronnie Johnson in car number 5, also from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and beside him the number 22 machine of Stan Massey out of Mapleton, Georgia.
Row 5, it's Rookie of the Year 1994's Rookie of the Year, Jeff Smith in the 70 car, starting 9th from Kings Mountain, North Carolina. The 201 car in the 10th position is Rex Ritchie from Ringgold, Georgia. In row 6, CB3 Clay Kelly, starting 11th from Knoxville, Tennessee. On the outside of row 6, the number 15 car, Patrick Dugan from Lenore City, Tennessee.
Row 7 is made up of 13th place starter Marshall Green in the 89 car from Dalton, Georgia, and Scott Sexton in the 52 out of Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. In row 8, Clint Smith takes the number 1 out of Griffin, Georgia. Outside of him, Lamar Lowry in 45. He's from Georgetown, Tennessee.
In row 9, it's Frank Thompson in the number 51 car, starting 17th, and 18th, it's 54 Mike Head. In row 10, in the 7M car, made it in from the consolation tonight, Mark Miner starting 19th, and behind him the 22 car in 20th position, Randy Weaver.
In row 11, in the 21st position, Randy Boutwell, a local favorite here from Crossville, Tennessee, in the car number 14. Outside, David Gibson takes the G2, and he's from Ash Flat, Arkansas. Rounding out the field in the 23rd starting position, the Wild Child, C.S. Fitzgerald from Lexington, Virginia, and the last starter on the grid, number 44, Dave Bilby, another favorite here from Crossville, Tennessee.
Dave Bilby moved into 24th when C.S. was moved up to 23rd because the Kenny Merchant car decided and elected not to participate tonight. He's had a rough go of it the last couple days, decided he would not take 23rd for a start, and fell out.
Three wide out of turn 2, and Scott Bloomquist trying to look to the inside.
Bill Fry in the 66 car almost gets loose there, and of course Scott Bloomquist is right in the middle of it, trying to make it difficult for everybody right away. The speed already shows here on the front straightaway. Bill Fry trying to hold the outside line. Scott Bloomquist is in 3rd and steps back just a little bit. Freddie Smith has got the lead, and we've already got 2 laps in the books as they go flying past us. 24 of the strongest that have survived here at Crossville Raceway. Fantastic move already on Freddie's part. He's got the groove, the same groove that he virtually ran last night when we watched him. In turn 4, you see the entire field trying to figure out the next best path to follow behind him. Scott Bloomquist is staying right on the heels of the number 66 car, Bill Fry, running in 2nd, Scott in 3rd, and of course the car right behind them running in 4th is number 12, Rick Auckland. Incredible speed of these speed-crafted race cars as they come down the front straightaway. There's Rick Auckland, Fargo, North Dakota, running in 4th, right behind Scott. Scott's got another moment or 2 to think over what he might do next to pursue Bill Fry. Fry and he have played this game before. Last year at the end of July in the $10,000 qualifier race at Dixie Speedway. This was the race almost all night long. Bill held Scott Bloomquist off to take that win after 100 laps at Dixie Speedway in Georgia. Tonight, it's Freddie Smith in the 00 car, now with about a 10-car length lead going in and around through turn 4. Bill Fry trying to come up with him, and Scott Bloomquist staying right there. Chris, this looks like a super fast racetrack.
They are. They're turning some very fast speeds. Not surprisingly, they're a little bit off of the qualifying speeds from yesterday, but the early laps for Freddie Smith are in the 14.19 range, and he's running very consistent and is holding his line very well, and you can see he's pulling out a pretty good lead over 2nd place Bill Fry.
And as you can tell from the front straightaway camera, all the cars are getting in just a little bit of a slide right before they get to the turn, so they're actually sliding on the front straightaway and making for the proper passage and entry into the turn to make it through turn 1 and 2. Basically doing the same thing so far in turns 3 and 4 as well. The crowd going away from you there, heading into turn 2. Jeff Smith just ahead there, went in the last part of the screen. Freddie Smith, his dad right behind him now, picking up about a half a lap on them. And Freddie Smith is definitely out with a vengeance tonight to try to win this particular race. He and Scott Bloomquist kind of got into it in Lakeview Speedway, which you might have seen on Sports South just a few weeks ago, and they definitely had a battle on their hands for 49 laps till Freddie went up, over, and out of the racetrack at Lakeview Speedway. Freddie Smith goes past C.S. Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald just snuck into the race. He's had a tough time the last couple of qualifying trips around the racetrack and had trouble getting the setup. This has been a very tough racetrack for the rookies, and C.S. running second overall in the points in the rookie standings is standing up there and doing pretty well so far. Freddie Smith now on the heels of the 44 car that made it in tonight after Kenny Merchant elected not to be in the race. Dave Bilbrey from Crossville, Tennessee slipped up to 24th. C.S. Fitzgerald moved up to 23rd, and now they're both in the race tonight. Freddie Smith now approaching the 14 car. It looks like Rudy Boutwell's kind of being passed up a little bit there. Rudy was extremely strong last night, running a 12.90 in the qualifying heat last night. One of the fastest times until Freddie Smith jumped into it and did a beautiful 12.554 second lap around this racetrack you're watching right now. We're exactly 16 laps into the race right now with another 84 to go, and Freddie Smith has got the line, the car, and the moves going.
And Freddie Smith going through traffic still, Trace, is now running laps in the 13:10 range. He is quicker than he was in qualifying last night.
Freddie Smith talked about his strategy in this race, and he spoke earlier with us about what it would be like if he could take the lead this quickly.
You know, if it starts drying up, you're going to try to change around and see if the guys will tell me on the radio what groove a lot of the guys are running, and run a little bit better than I am. So we'll just have to maybe take the chance of what they're going to tell me on the radio. If the high side's better than where I'm running. And just like Cleveland, you know, we ran the bottom side, and they kept telling me the bottom was good for me, but it wasn't no good for them. So, you know, we're going to have to go that way about it.
Freddie is just unstoppable. Look at this. He's now inside the 51 car, Frank Thompson. Frank was looking pretty strong last night, but the setup is definitely in the 00 car you're watching right here at Crossville Raceway. Super fast times, and the track has stayed extremely fast and obviously stayed very passable. Freddie's having no trouble making moves around anyone in traffic that he's taken a liking to.
And although Freddie's still in traffic, he has a margin of a little over 4 seconds over the second place car, Bill Fry, and Fry's got his hands full with Scott Bloomquist.
Yeah, and right now, Randy Weaver from Crossville, Tennessee in the 22 car has his hands full with the leader of the race, of course, Freddie Smith, coming up and right after him. Freddie Smith's son, Jeff, is also in this race. Jeff and his wife are just hours apparently away from having a baby, and they're real excited. We're hoping that Jeff gets this race done before that so he can head on home and get a shot, a look, I should say, at what his wife and the new baby are going to look like together. Freddie's made another pass. Here he goes. He's definitely going for the Childs and Albert Hard Charger Award tonight. He's picking up a place every time he does. Look at that move on the inside there. Just about puts the guy out, but didn't even touch him. That is the mark of one of the high-quality drivers in dirt track late model racing. One of the finest and one of the fastest, Freddie Smith from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He was right under the CV3 car and looked like there for a moment that Clay Kelly was going to have to maybe take a little tap on the rear to let him know he was there. Clay knows he's there, though, have no doubt about that. Look at that. Look at the speed of those two guys as they go down the front straightaway now into turn 1 and 2. And CV is holding his own, but as you can see, that left rear quarter panel's crumpled up under there, and if he gets into it just right with that tire, he could cut a tire down, and that would end his participation in this Hav-A-Tampa Series race.
Well, Clay Kelly is certainly, as you said, he has his hands full. Learning a little lesson here, but he has managed to keep Freddie Smith behind him. And how long that's going to happen? Probably not long now, as you see Freddie edging underneath him, but he gets away on the straightaway.
The only part of the racetrack so far Freddie hasn't run is the real high side, and he just went under CV3 right there before you, obviously running extremely well. He is making move after move. Rudy Boutwell now in front of him again as he goes flying up there, and now inside Rudy Boutwell. Apparently, I believe that's the second time we've seen that happen. Rudy's really having problems, obviously, on the racetrack. Scott Bloomquist now chasing still after still in third, chasing after second. Bill Fry is holding him rather strong. Bill Fry we talked to earlier today too. He's been rather reluctant to say a whole lot about what's going to happen in his race car, Chris. He just seems to be getting tighter lipped about it all the time, and yet when he gets on the racetrack, you know he's been holding back because that car is just flying around the racetrack. Doing an excellent job tonight. And you have to bear in mind that Scott Bloomquist has started 19th in two of the biggest races 2 weeks in a row and come to the front and won. For Bill Fry to be holding him right now says a lot about Bill's driving and his car's performance.
Well, both Bill Fry and Scott Bloomquist had a little more trouble getting through the slow traffic than did Freddie Smith. We do have a caution.
We have a caution. That's exactly right.
Things are slowing down on the track.
Piece of debris looks like out there in turn, right in the middle of turn 3 and 4. We'll take a quick break as we continue with the Hav-A-Tampa Racing Series with race number 15 from Crossville Raceway. We'll be right back. Here we go. We're back for lap 35, just about to restart at Crossville Raceway, Tennessee. We've had one incredible race so far. Freddie Smith has just been eating them alive. He leads them off. The speed is in, and here we go into turn 1. Freddie Smith leading Bill Fry from Greenbrier, Arkansas, and right behind the Tennessee traveler himself, Scott Bloomquist in the 18 car. And just a little contact there for a moment, as you saw. Yes, C.S. Fitzgerald has stopped out here in turn 4. That will create the caution immediately. Rescind lap 35 start. That means we'll have to start it again. But as I was just saying, you saw the contact with Bill Fry and Freddie Smith. A little bit of a surprise there. Those two guys rarely touch each other, so to speak, on the racetrack. They're very good about making sure that they don't run into other people. CS is back in position at the end of the pack, and the entire race is set to go again. We've got everybody in position. Freddie Smith, of course, leading the way. Bill Fry, they won't be able to accelerate until Freddie decides in those lines that it's time to go. And here we go again. The Hav-A-Tampa Race Series, race number 15, Crossville Raceway, underway again for lap 35. We'll be taking a look at some of the lap times here. Bill Fry looking very smooth in that GRT race car and has got a good line, apparently very close to what Freddie's running. And right behind them in super speed, as you just saw right there, of course, is Scott Bloomquist, averaging about 96 to 97 miles per hour around the racetrack, which means that they're accelerating in front of you on that front straightaway camera as they get to the turns at well over 110 miles an hour. Look at the speed and the move right there. Very smooth. Rick Auckland is now moving up behind Scott. He's begun to make a little bit of a move. Apparently, during the slowdown in the caution, some of the tires cooled off just enough so that the particular compound of rubber that's chosen by different teams is working a little better at the beginning before all that heat gets built back up in the tires. Freddie Smith, of course, is coming down right through the front straightaway, looking very strong. He's got the low inside on turn 1 and 2, and that's the groove that everybody else apparently seems to be taking. Bill Fry, Scott Bloomquist, and Rick Auckland in the number 2, 3, and 4 positions. Scott is now chasing down on Bill Fry, trying to start making a move. They have got 39 laps in the books, and Scott knows he's got to start moving up. There is some damage to Bill Fry's car. We didn't see the contact, but that might have been a little bit of a result of the earlier incident with Freddie Smith. Chris, we're looking at the times here. Scott Bloomquist doesn't look like he's putting everything into the racetrack yet. He's fighting more for position. I think he's got a lot more in the car that he could use. I think it's just a question of time before he starts another inside move on Bill Fry. Fry, though, is a cagey veteran, and he's not going to let Bloomquist get around him easily.
The top 3 drivers, Trace, amazingly enough, are so consistent. We've got Freddie Smith with a 13:28. Bill Fry was running a 13:29 just 2 laps ago, and Scott Bloomquist was also a 13:29.
The top 3 guns, the big guns, running in front right now on the top 3 positions are all running basically the same lap speed. But again, as I said earlier, don't be surprised if Scott Bloomquist, in particular, might start to put a move on the 66 car and start to step up a little bit. Freddie Smith is so far out in front right now, it's kind of amazing to think that a car as strong as Scott Bloomquist could be that far back. But it's a sign that Freddie Smith has found a way through lap traffic tonight. This is definitely a contribution of a great setup. His crew looked very confident. I've never seen Freddie so relaxed before a race before this one, and he definitely must have found what he needed last night. He set the track record, or not the track record, but the qualifying record last night with 12.554 seconds around this racetrack. And tonight, even in race traffic with a track that's not quite as tacky or as hooked up as last night, he's still leading and still pulling away. He's got almost a half a lap lead right now on the number 2, number 3 cars, and looking stronger by the minute. Nothing wrong with that race car. 48 laps in the books, and Freddie has led every single one of them so far. The man from Baton Rouge is on a mission and flying faster and faster tonight.
And now has his lap times down below 13 seconds.
Proof that as we looked at it, just visually, you can see it going faster, and sure enough, he's doing it. Now he's about to reach the end of lap traffic. In fact, Jeff Smith and the 70 cars in front of him. Scott Bloomquist doesn't appear to be having any problems. He's got the handling down, and obviously he's got the power. I saw a little bit of white smoke out of his car just then. I'm not sure what that was. I don't know whether that was a tire smoke or what. Scott now back around inside and trying to go inside Rudy Boutwell. Rudy's having a devil of a time tonight. He's not had the best of luck in the car. He's down several laps. Rick Auckland right behind Scott. You just saw in the number 12 car from Fargo, North Dakota. He's also pulling in. And now here comes Scott again with Bill Fry, and looking like we've just reached another caution point.
Got two cars on the back
stretch. Got two cars on the back straightaway. Let's get the cameras out there to look at that. Stan Massey sitting in the back and plowed into apparently the B4 car of Jack Boggs. We didn't see the incident, ladies and gentlemen, but apparently as they exited turn 2, something happened out there. It looks like possibly what happened was Boggs lost some power, and of course Stan Massey, running as hard as he does, the man from Ableton, Georgia, he ran into him and apparently caught him off guard, and they both ended up tangled together back there. They're trying to pull apart right now, but looks like Stan's car is somewhat secured, if you will, to the back of the B4 car. This is our second caution period so far, according to Hav-A-Tampa race officials. And unfortunately, it's going to take a few seconds here to sort this out. So while we do that, let's take another break. We'll come back in a moment with more of this hot dirt track late model racing action from Crossville Raceway, Tennessee. Stay with us. It's going to get even more exciting. It's about to resume here at Crossville Raceway. Freddie Smith has led all one of the 51 laps so far. Bill Fry running in second behind him, and Scott Bloomquist in third. The rest of the lineup right now, we have the number 12 car, Rick Auckland, Fargo, North Dakota, and in 5th place, Stan Massey from Ableton, Georgia. Kind of interesting there. He started 8th, and he's up that far, and part of it is, of course, Boggs has gone out. Boggs had a power failure of some kind in his engine coming out of turn 2, and that brought Stan Massey up under it. They took him apart, and now they're about ready to restart the race right in front of you. Here comes the speed. Freddie Smith leads down the front straightaway. Bill Fry again immediately tries to jump inside and try to jump back under, but we've got the caution flag out immediately. Clint Smith is out there, and to the right of him, you'll see the 100 car. I'm not sure if they got together, but Clint Smith, second in the Hav-A-Tampa Series points at this moment in the season, had a little bit of a problem out there, and C.S. Fitzgerald just managed to avoid it, apparently. We have 1 lap to go before the green. We're coming back here to Crossville Raceway, and it looks like so far it's nothing but Freddie Smith. At least that's all that the other guys are saying as they restart the race and into turn 1. Again, right back to the same line, immediately picking up speed, and very quickly followed by all of the other race cars now pursuing Freddie Smith in the same groove. Everybody's running the same groove right now. They had apparently have picked out very easily that Freddie has the fastest move around the racetrack, and they want to keep that same one. You just saw all the speed of all of the 22 cars remaining in the race as they continue down. Blackjack Boggs' B4 car is gone from the race. He had a power failure in his motor, and he's out. Freddie Smith again is beginning to pull away. That car is the hooked up car on the racetrack. Right now behind him, it's Scott Bloomquist in third, still battling Bill Fry, still trying to find a place to put his nose under there and go for the push and get around and inside Bill Fry. But Bill Fry, as we said earlier, is the wily veteran. He won't let go.
By the time that Freddie Smith got to the first turn, he already had a 0.3 of a second lead over second place Bill Fry. If there's a car any more hooked up on this track, he's got to start moving real quick because Freddie Smith is walking away with it.
He is running like I have never seen him run in this particular race series. I've seen Freddie fast on some other tracks, but this is just unbelievable. He is pulling away and looking awesome. Bill Fry in the 66 car all the way back out there, still trying to stay ahead of Scott Bloomquist, and it looks like he's not really having that much trouble doing it. Scott's car is either a little underpowered or maybe not quite set up as strong as he normally is. The very right race car is usually the car everybody just kind of shakes their heads when they see him go by on the racetrack, thinking, how will we ever catch up with that? But that just proves that in Hav-A-Tampa racing, anybody can make that car right and get out there and suddenly be the leader, and then you've got exciting racing on a whole new front. Stan's staying right on him, as you can see here. This is a great little race right here for the 4th position, which Rick Auckland is still holding and has held for several laps now.
Stan Massey was one of the drivers last night that was one of the first to use the wider line around the track. He hasn't done that yet, but he continues to be right on Rick Auckland's bumper. And, of course, ironically, Rick Auckland, one of the gentlemen we talked to earlier, who said we could see a 2-groove track tonight, and that has not come to fruition.
Well, as you can see, the blackness on the track indicates where the cars are going to have to stay. At this point, the track is pretty well set, 66 laps, and that pretty well tells you where we're going to have to go. Rick Auckland is actually pulling up a little bit, though, on Scott Bloomquist, which is is a little bit of a surprise. Scott did earlier in one of the laps we were watching earlier on screen puff a little white smoke out the back there. We weren't sure if it was a problem with the engine or whether it might be a problem with just one of the tires rubbing in that particular spot in turn 4. Turn 4 has been exceptionally hard on all the race cars for the last several days. That's just a very tough part of the racetrack. Owner Wes Jenkins has worked that part of the track very hard, but due to weather conditions and everything else going on, it's just been very hard to keep that particular spot cleared out. There's the number 5 car, Chattanooga, Tennessee, on the left of your screen there. Ronnie Johnson's car looked exceptional last night, and it still looks exceptional. It's just at this point of the race, it gets to be a little bit of a single groove, and it's hard to get any distance on any of these other cars that lead the way. But behind him, we've got a car, number 45, Chris, that's looking real strong.
That's Lamar Lowry out of Georgetown, Tennessee, and he is coming on strong in that white car.
That's another hooked-up race car, because you got to remember, Lamar started considerably back in the field. I'm looking here through my notes real quick just to see where it did start, but it was further back than anyone else. Freddie Smith continues to be the hooked-up car racing ahead, and of course, he's now passed several people in lap traffic and continuing to pull away from number 2 and number 3, Scott Bloomquist, and of course, I'm sorry, Bill Fry and Scott Bloomquist in that order. There's Ronnie Johnson looking good down the back straightaway, but still racing right ahead and trying to maintain a line that looks like it's kind of slipping a little away from him at this point. Scott Bloomquist surprising everyone, but not already overtaking Bill Fry and making a move towards the front to chase down Freddie. There, now Scott's beginning to push a little on Bill Fry's lower left quarter panel. A bit of an indication that the power is still in car in 18, and it's time for Bill to start looking for another path because Scott's got the line, and it's time for him to start to move ahead. This is the second trip around where we've seen Scott push a little bit on the inside just like he's doing there, and now he's starting to do that famous classic Scott Bloomquist move where he sort of attacks from the inside, throws a little more to the outside with the right rear of the car, but then immediately checks up when he sees that it's not the right moment in the turn. He's got the speed, and it looks like right now he's pursuing Bill for that right moment, Chris.
Well, Bill hasn't been able to hold the line quite as low as Bloomquist has. Of course, if he continues to let Scotty get under that quarter panel, he's going to have no choice but to move up because Scott wants through there. He wants that second position.
No sign of any problem for Bloomquist like we reported earlier when we saw that puff of smoke, so apparently his car is just fine. And there's one thing about a Scott Bloomquist car, it's set up to run high, low, middle, wide, or any place on the racetrack. You can count on it. Apparently we've got another caution flag coming out on us. We've got 85 laps in the books. We're down to the last 15. It's showtime, folks. We're going to get to look at number 15 here, and as we'll come back in a moment, hopefully what happened with him. We'll take a little break here, come right back in a moment for Hav-A-Tampa Dirt Racing Series action, and I do mean action, at Crossville Raceway. Stay with us. Looks very good for Freddie Smith. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. The man from Baton Rouge is a gentleman and one of the great drivers of our time, and I'll tell you right now, nobody could be happier than probably this entire crowd of people to watch him win tonight. Bill Fry's a favorite, but Scott Bloomquist is the unstoppable force, but tonight he's running third. The restart's underway. There's Freddie Smith, and now Bill Fry once again tries to put the move inside. It's go for broke right now. Bill's now making the moves. This is what possibly he's been setting up all evening long. Freddie's a little high. Bill Fry went just a little high himself, and now he's back under him. But Freddie's got that line, and he just gets stronger every time he takes a lap around the racetrack, Chris.
Absolutely, and you know he didn't want to see that last caution. That was the last probably good shot that Bill Fry and Scotty Bloomquist would have to chase him down and possibly get by him.
And unlike some other races that I've seen with Freddie Smith, he's apparently got those tires totally figured out tonight, along with a great setup of that race car, that beautiful Bazooka base tubes 00 car. The speed down the front straightaway, over 110 miles an hour, right before you here on Sports South with a Hav-A-Tampa Dirt Racing Series. We're down to the final 7 laps. Freddie Smith coming off turn 4 and down the front straightaway. We just got another caution. Again, we just got another caution. This will be the 6th caution in the 22 car of Randy Weaver from Crossville, Tennessee. One of 3 guys from this area that made it into the race tonight, and a remarkable showing. The Hav-A-Tampa Series guys are extremely strong, as you know, from watching here on Sports South and watching our television coverage of them. But the best part is that many local drivers are rising to the level of competition. The final gun is about to sound here at Crossville Raceway. Freddie Smith leads the crowd. Here we go. We're past the two white lines that no longer exist, and it doesn't matter anymore because Freddie Smith is on the way around for 7 final laps towards $10,000 at Crossville Raceway. This has been an incredible race. Freddie has dominated from the front, but it's been no sure thing behind him every step of the way. Bill Fry has dogged him and at times tried to make moves to pass under him. The entire field still looking very strong, and we've had a great race so far for 94 laps, 6 to go, and we're still looking at plenty of action and plenty of competition. Stan Massey back there still trying to get chase under Rick Auckland. Scott Bloomquist still not quite in the race. Apparently that is not the car he thought he had. This is very unusual to see Scott held back not just a second but even third. Bill Fry, of course, is doing an excellent job and, of course, obviously demonstrating that his car was a big surprise for everyone, even better than we thought, even though we watched it and saw it perform very well last night in the qualifying. But Bill is still driving that one lane that Scott Bloomquist really wants to get into and get around. But if he gets outside now, he could lose as many as a couple of places all at once. Rick Auckland's back there battling. Stan Massey's gone to the outside. He's gone around Rick Auckland. All of a sudden, he's made that move, and he's all the way up to 4th now. Rick Auckland has a problem. Apparently, he's fallen back. But now, Stan Massey has clear sailing ahead of him as he comes around turn 4 and heads in the front straightaway. You see him coming at you and heading right into turn 1 and 2, right after Mr. Scott Bloomquist, just ahead of him in 3rd, following the 66 car, Bill Fry. Here they come around turn 4. It's looking strong, folks. We are at the finish. Freddie Smith has won the race, and Bill Fry's come in 2nd. Scott Bloomquist finishes 3rd, and Stan Massey all the way into 4th to take the final look at the field tonight. This has been a great race for Freddie Smith. There he is, champion of the world 4 times, Dirt Track World 100 champion 4 times, and the winner here tonight at Crossville Raceway. What a fantastic finish for Freddie. Just a smooth, solid, super fast performance all the way around. Led every single lap tonight. That's unusual in this series for anyone other than Scott Bloomquist normally to do that. We'll talk with the winner in a moment. We'll get him through tech, and we'll come back here. Stay with us. Hav-A-Tampa Series race number 15 at Crossville Raceway is finished. We're going to talk to the winner in a moment. Looking at the winning team of tonight's race at Crossville Raceway for the $10,000 Hav-A-Tampa Series race. Freddie Smith, let's talk to him.
Freddie Smith, tonight's winners here with the checkered flag and the trophy. Freddie, you went from the front. You stayed at the front the whole time. Man, that's got to feel great.
Well, you know, we ran a good race and a good, comfortable race. You know, we got the start, you know, on the front row and got the jump right on the start. So, you know, we was real happy with everything.
Well, I tell you, from the restarts, you were a 3/10, 4/10 of a second faster. By the time you got to the first turn, you were really hooked up.
Well, everybody, I had the guys in front of me, you know, down there in the pit. They was telling me I was like 3/10 quicker than them guys. So we had a pretty good deal there until about 15 laps ago, and then I dropped a push rod or something off the motor and was running on 7 cylinders the last 15 laps there.
We're with second place finisher Bill Fry, and Bill might not have had enough to go all the way to the front, but heck of a battle back there in second.
Well, I knew we were plenty soft on tires, and I tried real hard to save him the entire race, and then the last 10 laps I thought I could race with him. And we got a shot or two there at the end, but I didn't have enough.
Well, Scott, the recent win streak may have come to an end, but you guys had quite a battle going back there right behind Freddie.
Yeah, you know, Freddie was running really good tonight. You know, you can't take that away from him. He earned the race. He sat on the pole. He ran really good tonight. You know, Bill, I don't know what, maybe it was tires, I don't know. He had some problems, I think, you know, that held the field up, really. I felt like if I could have got around him, we could have maybe got up there and at least raced with Freddie. The track got really one lane tonight. You couldn't get out of the groove there in the middle. It got really fast in that one spot, and if you pulled down low, it was just too slippery. You know, but Bill did a good job, you know, kept it in the groove, and, you know, he earned second place, so we'll just have to go on to the next one.
Frustration a little bit in the voice of Scott Bloomquist there, of course, by not winning tonight. But Freddie Smith was your winner, followed by Bill Fry. Scott Bloomquist, of course, in 3rd. The 22 car, Stan Massey, in 4th. In 5th, it was Ronnie Johnson. In the 6th place car, it was Lamar Lowry from the local area, followed by Clint Smith, currently 2nd in the points, and I believe he still will be. Mark Miner in 8th. Mike Head came in 9th, and Patrick Dugan finished in 10th. In the 11th spot, he was Dale McDowell in 12th.
Rick Auckland. In 13th, Jeff Smith, followed by Randy Weaver in 14th, and 15th was David Gibson from Ash Flat, Arkansas, still the rookie leader. In 16th, it was Frank Thompson. 17th, Clay Kelly, followed by C.S. Fitzgerald in 18th, Rudy Boutwell in 19th, and Rex Ritchie in 20th, rounding it out in the top final four. 21 was Jack Boggs, 22 was Dave Bilbrey, Scott Sexton, and Marshall Green rounded out the top 24 for tonight. The owner and manager of this great racetrack, Crossville Raceway, to David Roberts, Nick Masters, and Jim Harrer with the Hav-A-Tampa series. To CES Racing Radios in Century, Florida, official communications for NASCAR and the Hav-A-Tampa Race Series. The people in the truck doing the directing and the calling tonight, Sheldon and Kevin. Special thanks to all the guys from CRI and, of course, all of our folks that help us here when we produce the show at Maverick Video in San Antonio. For Chris Larson, this is Trace Ali. Thanks for watching.